Hey, what's up, Sober Cityans? This is Seth, and I am an alcoholic. Thank you so much for listening. This is episode 2. Excited for you to meet my good buddy Kip and listen to his amazing story. The great thing about Kip is last week you got to meet Mark. I remember talking to Mark on the phone. I was about 30 minutes out from meeting Kip. Somebody had told me Kip was the guy to talk to connect with. At this point, I had been essentially separated from my wife for about a week, I'd say. And I was staying at my mom's. And I, after work, didn't have a lot to do. And so I was just sitting in this parking lot talking to Mark and waiting for Kip to arrive. And eventually I had the pleasure of meeting Kip. And from there, this friendship that has just grown for the last year and a half. And now this guy is like family to me. I love him with all my heart. He is so wise and generous and gracious and patient and loving and just one of the best people. As you listen to his story, it's crazy to think of what he used to be like, what happened, and what he's like now. It's just a miracle, truly a miracle, what he's overcome. And I'm so proud of him. I love him so much. And I hope you get something out of this story. If you're listening and you or somebody you know is struggling with alcohol abuse, addiction, please share the episode, share my information. It's important to me that whoever's struggling right now knows that they're not alone, that there's hope, sobriety's worth it, and it's possible. And Kip is a testament to that. So as always, thank you again for listening. I appreciate all the support and encouragement. You guys have been phenomenal. I just feel a ton of love lately, and I'm so grateful for that. So without further ado, life is beautiful. Sobriety is worth it. Thank God for today. This is Sober City. Mr. Kip, how long have you been sober?
I have put together just over 6 years.
6 years. Congratulations. That's inspiring. It's a long time. Did you think it was possible in the beginning?
In the beginning, definitely not. Took some time to fully grasp what I was up against. Been addicted into substances for about 22 years of my life. I never just had the aspect of what is actually wrong. I had thoughts, but didn't really know the root cause of it.
That's understandable. And what's your sobriety date?
My sobriety date is 4/12/2018.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And are you from Rapid?
Yeah, born and raised. Pretty much lived my whole life in Rapid. I was born into just a pretty stable family. My dad's side definitely brought alcoholism into the family dynamic. My mom came from a very successful, long teacher background. So that side of the family was always just upfront, courteous, good spirit. And then my dad just brought a lot of the alcoholism disease into the family. But it was never that chaotic, really extreme alcoholic family. It was pretty structured, and Dad did a pretty good job of keeping it away from the family. Most parts wouldn't come home, and if he did come home, there'd be some fights that would happen, but pretty isolated for me and my sister.
So then what were you like in high school?
You know, in high school, I was, my personality, I just had a great personality. I could talk to anybody. I had a friend base of about 15 dudes, and we just ran. We just had a good time. But the whole time in that friend base, which I was a part of, I didn't feel a part of. I always felt like I was on the sidelines. Nothing that they ever portrayed to make me feel that way. It was just this inner feeling of I didn't belong. I didn't know how to form actual relationships. It was all based on what we were doing and what we were getting into, and usually fueled by booze or some drugs. And at that point, I felt a part of. I could be myself. I stood up to these guys. I was the right height with them. Without it, man, I couldn't call one of those guys on the weekday, see how they were doing if they just wanted to go hang out. I needed the party. I needed something to buffer between those thoughts and feelings that I felt with these guys. I never just reached out and seen how somebody was doing, built a relationship with these friends. It was just, let's meet up on the weekend and let's tear it up. And so usually I brought the party, I brought the beer, I brought whatever it needed to be because I thought that was my part in that friendship.
Exactly.
All I wanted was just to be a good friend and me to call and see how they're doing. I just couldn't do that. And today, still I struggle with that concept of hanging out with somebody and not really doing anything. You know what I'm saying?
Also, the feeling that they actually really want to hang out sometimes, like that imposter syndrome that I can totally relate to. I was similar. I had a good, solid core group of guy friends that I did not feel like I deserved to have them as friends.
Yep.
Alcohol made me the life of the party, loosened me up, and I was the one that made the jokes.
Yep.
Had fun. And I think anybody outside looking in would have assumed that I was happy and doing well, but man, inside I was like, I don't belong. I don't feel like I fit in.
Yeah, at the tail end of my senior year, I think they were just getting fed up with the party kit. I thought that's what I was bringing the party, but you could see like they wanted more from me as a friend, and I couldn't give that. All I could give them was party kit, and they started slowly moving away. You know, they'd go do some fun stuff or hang out, and I wasn't invited because I thought I was different and it was a personal attack. But what it was, we don't want that hardcore kip around. It's just obnoxious.
So then what'd you do? Senior year, you're kind of losing your core group of guy friends?
Yeah. So what happened my senior year, I had a really good buddy. Me and him just were 100% together all the time. We had a guy that would buy us beer for the last 3 years. Our senior year, we went and asked him to buy us some beer one night. And when he got back, he asked us to come inside and have a beer with him. And so we went inside. We started talking about a different type of substance that he was on that wondered if we would like to try it. And of course, my mentality and my mindset is, hell yeah, let's try it. No thought of consequences or what I was getting into. And that night we smoked methamphetamines, and that just turned the key to the next 15 to 20 years.
That one incident, what's that like? What's meth like?
You couldn't comprehend it. And so in my past, my friends would smoke marijuana, a lot of it. I would drink and they would smoke marijuana. And when I did smoke marijuana, I got sick, completely sick. I mean, I'm puking and I'm not enjoying myself. I pass out, like I'm done. And so trying that was my first question was, man, is this going to make me sick? I remember sitting there thinking, I don't want to get sick, man. I just want to drink tonight. And it was a whole different feeling. It was just this out-of-body experience. We left there. I smoked maybe a pack of cigarettes, just high amped. We're making fidgety signs with our fingers. I'm engaged in anything. I want to call everybody. I want to call my friends. I want to see where the party's at tonight. I got home and I think I called some family members because I just want to have a conversation with my family members. That's not me. I don't care what my family members are doing. But at that point, I was just engaged in life. I was engaged in every aspect of what was going around me. So I made a lot of phone calls, met up with my buddy later that night. We went to a party and we drank all night. Just high energy, like my hand movements, my eyes were twitching, my body's twitching. I just remember two of the girls just crying. What are you guys on? What are you doing? Very disturbing. There's a lot of things in this world that I love. And I can't remember the first time that I enjoyed them or whatever, but I remember that first night. And looking back on it, how people reacted to just my physical being on it, knowing something's different. You guys are on something. And people showed true love that night. What are you on? Let us help you. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And we were just off to the races.
And you were probably like, nothing's wrong.
Yeah. Oh, I felt so good. Like, just leave me alone, man. I want to feel like this for the rest of my life. Never felt that way again. Never felt from the next hits or the next injections that I did. I was just chasing that night.
But your body just continually was, we need more of that.
Need more. I couldn't function. It started off on weekends. I mean, it was instantly after that night, every weekend after that, it was that chase to get that. And it just was a process. When you're new into the game, you don't know where to get it. It's an all day battle just to find the stuff. And so me and my buddy, just devoted the rest of our senior year and the next year after that, chasing that thing, chasing it.
In your senior year of high school, pursuing that meth high.
Man, that was just robbed for me that night. I want to put that blame on that guy, but man, my course of action and where I was going in life, I was going to end up end up somewhere like that. I think it would have been more booze that would have took me to the place I was at, because meth was just a weird thing back then. Nobody was doing it. You never heard about it. If it wasn't for that night, I think I would have just become a really hard alcoholic. Changed the course of where I ended up at for sure. So back in high school and elementary, they would show you that video of them cracking an egg, and they say, this is your brain, and they'd crack that egg and put it in a hot frying pan, and the frying pan would sizzle that egg, and this is your brain on drugs.
Yeah.
And I remember when I did that, I was like, man, that's not what I feel like. I don't feel like my brain frying.
No, exactly, yeah.
At that moment, all that propaganda that the teachers and the people were telling us about drugs, that was like, you guys are crazy, man.
No
you guys been
joke,
lying the whole time.
What else are you lying about?
Yeah, my brain feels amazing.
Let me try the other drugs and see if you're lying about those.
Exactly.
Yeah, not a great campaign.
I'm not saying I was definitely not privileged. Middle of the road, there was no cocaine, meth, heroin. Never even heard of that stuff. Marijuana and some beer. It was just beer.
Yeah, and that dude introduced you to a whole new world that you weren't a part of, and set the course for a while.
Yeah, and we hung around that dude constantly. After that night, man, he robbed us so many times because we're chasing it. We don't know where to get it. So we'd drop off $100 to him. Hey, go get us a little bit of that stuff. And he'd come back with a little rock or something and keep the rest. We had no idea. And now he even made that comment, I needed you guys to supply my habit.
You had no idea.
No idea. I took a year and a half off out of high school to get my bearings, to take a year, figure some stuff out. A couple of my friends went to Mitchell Tech, got a degree in satellite communications. Just thought that would be a good idea, and that's where I went, and just left everything behind. Drank very heavy in Mitchell, but succeeded in college. Made it through college with the highest grade point average I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
You know, it was engaging. It was hands-on, and I just really dug in. Graduation night, Mitchell Tech. I had a party, a pretty decent-sized party. I worked at Colburn's. I was a cashier at a grocery store. And there was this other girl that worked there, just hit it off really good, and I invited her to my graduation party. We hooked up that night. I knew the next day I'm packing my bags and I'm headed to New Orleans, and that's what I did. And headed to New Orleans, no strings attached. I got down there really enjoying my career, really getting engaged in what I was doing. I had in my apartment, plans of buying a new car, looking at properties to buy. I was making good money. Life was good. I was engaged in New Orleans and what I was doing down there.
Oh, so you're doing well your first year.
Yeah, first year, definitely. But then I got that phone call.
Yeah, what was the phone call?
Graduation night came back, coming up on 2 years. South Dakota State calls me and says, we need you to take a test for this girl that's requesting it. My first response is, I haven't slept with her for almost 2 years now. And their response was, yeah, they're a year old. My next question was, and they said, yes, twins. So I went through the process of getting a test, 99.8% positive that they were my kids.
That's pretty certain. You're a dad now.
Very certain. I'm a dad of 1-year-olds. Just getting my life started, my career going.
Yeah. And what was that feeling like?
Poor me. I just wanted to put the blame wherever else it could besides myself. I had 2 choices at that moment. 2 choices. One is to lean in and become a dad and do the best I could. Or 2 was run, seeking out opportunities with lures to get away from this thing, Right. And at this time, too, I've been drinking pretty heavily. I just remember that night when I got that phone call, I was sitting in my car, I went and got a bottle, and I'm just drinking. I finally call my mom and just say, Mom, this is where I'm at. Just drunk, crying, just losing it. So my mom, through this whole struggle, has always had to get these phone calls. Here's another phone call. I messed up. I can't step into this role because of where my life is and my thinking and my actions. I played the blame game. It was her fault. She did this. Can you believe this? The world treat me like this again? It was a struggle for 6 years for her. Not for me, for her. The pain and hurt I brought her. She just laced up and became a mom. An amazing mom.
And you're maintaining your job, though? Your performance isn't affected?
To the most part, my engagement, my excitement in the job completely went to the wayside. The child support kicked in. I had to pay back child support for a year. The dreams of the car and the house and the exciting lifestyle came to a pretty big halt. And now I'm struggling to make rent and I'm struggling to plan a future for myself, but I'm just consumed in alcoholism And so there's no growth. There's no,
Oh yeah.
not saving money. You know, I'm just spending to excess. I'm drinking to excess. I'm trying to just get away from these feelings that I'm having. And so everything just crumbled. Time to make a change in my environment.
Because it just got so bad that you wanted to come home.
Yeah, nobody knew that. Nobody, my family, my mom, loved ones back home had no idea what I was doing down there. Never talked about the isolation and the drinking. And I was always calling and struggling, you know, with my mom and telling her what I'm struggling with. And it was always just like, I don't have friends down here. I don't have entertainment. I can't meet anybody.
This is self-pity.
Just self-pity. But so they're worried because they're hearing this and they're thinking, yeah, it's a struggle. You're living in a different place and those opportunities are hard to find, but you just got to get outside yourself and go meet people. But what I'm doing is just drinking every night. I don't have that ability. So the advice I'm getting, which is genuine good advice, I can't take and put into action because my drinking has a hold of me, but they don't know that and they're thinking it's a different thing. It's just the place. New Orleans not your place. You need to come home.
And then here you are back in Rapid, back home.
Back in home.
You find a job here.
Got definitely a downgrade to a job, but a promising job for Rapid City. Got hooked up with some old friends and just drinking, light drinking. So when I'm coming back, my mom says, Kip, you're coming back to Rapid City, and Rapid City laws cracking down on drinking and driving. Yeah. Oh, I know. Rapid's very strict on drinking and driving. Oh, I know. 2 weeks.
You're here for 2 weeks?
2 weeks. Yeah, picked up for DUI. I'm over the limit pretty good. For some reason, process me and put me out the back door, so I just get a taxi ride to my car that's along the interstate, jump back in my car and drive home.
Probably still over the limit.
Oh, way over the limit at that point, but just no care for consequences. I go to jail, I get processed out, I get a taxi ride, I go to my car, I get in it, and I get home. I'm managing life.
How'd that play out, the DUI, your first offense?
First offense, got an attorney. I was working for a company that I needed to drive vehicles for, so that would have been a termination. So I used my suspended imp on that.
And what's a suspended imp?
Suspended imposition is pretty much one get out of jail free card. My attorney highly preached to me that probably shouldn't use it on a simple misdemeanor DUI. Pretty much he asked me to look at my course of my life and is this it? Is this
you might need this later.
Highly recommended that. But of course I'm managing. I got this life thing. I understand. I'm going to move forward from this. And so, used it on a DUI.
So you could drive for work, you wouldn't get fired?
Yep. 4 weeks later, I'm in a high-speed chase with Rapid City Police Department, going down La Crosse Street, 2 o'clock in the morning, headlights off, completely wasted, blacked out wasted. Had an opportunity, a split-second opportunity to think and rationalize and make a decision, and my decision was not to pull over. It was to hit the gas and run.
You were trying to avoid that second DUI?
Yeah, can't get another one.
Chasing you, they get you?
Nope, I got away. Drove my car into a guardrail. The whole front end was smashed into the driver's seat. I crawled out the passenger door, took off, and laid in the field for like 3.5 hours. Next day, I wake up, I call the cops and report my car stolen.
Sure. Cop
shows up to give me a police report. I have 2 completely black eyes. My nose is cut in half, and just told him that, I don't know, I woke up and my car was gone.
Did you ask what happened to your face?
Oh, yeah. Roughhousing with the boys last night.
That's all part of that manageability. Kip's managing. He's got it figured out now. And then how'd you get back to your car?
So once again, called my mom that morning. I said, hey, my car got stolen. I have a police report. They're investigating and looking for it. I avoided her for about a week because my face is mangled, and so I just avoid her. And finally, everything kind of cleared up and was good. So I called my mom and, hey, Mom, they found my car. Can you believe that?
Nice.
Let's go pick this thing up. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, hopefully it's not wrecked.
Oh, hopefully it's in good tack. But they said I come and get it, so it has to be good. And we walked around that corner, and my mom's face, still remember that today. And I'm on the sidelines going, oh my gosh, Mom, can you believe this happened to me? This is insane. What am I going to do? What am I going to drive?
Somebody stole my car.
Someone stole my car and wrecked it.
I'm trying to do the best I can.
Yep.
I got this DUI I'm dealing with.
And I can remember that look on my mom's face, and I could just see the formulating these questions in her head. Like, this is just a lie, but let's just get through this.
Right.
This strong, amazing lady this woman is. A saint. True saint.
She probably did know, but what is she going to say? You're
She-
lying?
I lie out my teeth all the time, and I justify it, and I make excuses. And if she asks me that, I get angry. Are you kidding me? You're going to blame me for this?
For sure. Yeah,
So
that's
she
your
knows
first
what's coming.
response.
So
Yeah.
just, close your mouth, move on. Found me a truck. Called Grandpa. Grandpa had a truck that he gave to me, so I jumped in the truck. I'm managing. Look at this. I'm kicking butt, man.
You're doing pretty
I'm
good.
doing amazing.
You're like 2 months in rapid. You got 1 DUI, a police chase, totaled car.
Yep.
But now you got Grandpa's truck.
Yep. Oh, next, the beautiful thing, Rapid City starts providing at the bars a substance called bath salts.
Oh,
Over the counter. You go down with your $20 to any bar in Rapid or the head shop downtown and buy bath salts.
oh, really?
Which
You just
is-
buy bath salts on it?
Yeah, for a while there.
About bath.
There's about a 3-month period you can go anywhere in Rapid and find it's just pretty much meth. What am I trying to think? What's that word? Engineered.
Synthetic.
Synthetic meth, and you could just buy that and snort that up your nose, and you're off to the races, just like methamphetamines. For about 3 months until Rapid City got a hold of it and closed that down. Now I'm depleted of money. I'm paying an attorney. I wrecked my car. I'm spending money to excess again on booze and bath salts downtown. I have no money. I am broke.
You still have your job, though, right?
Still have my job, but
Yeah.
just child support. There's not a dollar to my name. I'm managing. I'm keeping ahead of things. I go down to where I buy the bath salts at, and there's cops everywhere and caution tape across the door, and I am just like, oh my gosh, no. Don't do this to me.
They took away your solution.
Don't do this to me.
Yeah. So what's next?
Got to call up the plug.
Get the real stuff.
Yep.
And now you're back on meth.
Yep.
And how long are you in Rapid for at this point, would you guess?
Well, maybe 4 months,
4
5
months.
months, maybe
Wow,
at the
you're-
top.
That didn't take long. Dude, and you're still pretty young.
Yeah. Right at that time, too, my mom has found a foreclosed home that we are looking at. I had the opportunity. My mom bought this foreclosed house that we're going to fix up, and then I'm going to buy it off of her once it's all fixed up. Then I got a loan for the house. And
So you're a homeowner.
yeah, so now I moved into this house,
Yeah.
and as we're fixing it up, I'll be doing trim work around the doors and stuff, putting a little line of bath salts, snorting it, this opportunity, this home ownership, and I'm sitting there just treating it like I deserve it. This is what I deserve, and just disgracing it.
Totally ungrateful.
Totally ungrateful. Yeah.
So you got this house at least.
I got the house. I just cannot gain traction.
No, and then you're getting back into meth.
Mm-hmm.
And how long do you get away doing that?
I think close to about a year. Usually my meth runs for about a year. And the house is done, living in the house, and it is completely a trap house. If you Google what a trap house looks like and operates, that's what my house was. Constant flow of people. At all times, if 10 to 15 people running through my house.
When you say your meth runs for about a year, so you do meth for like a year or something, then you kind of take a hiatus?
No, I
Or-
get caught up. Yeah,
Oh,
it's about a
okay.
year in there. Someone wore a wire on me.
So you get busted.
Yep.
And you get sentenced to what?
Got count 1 distribution and possession. Got sentenced to 4 years, which I had to do 25% of that, so I did a full year. And this is the world I come from. I've never been in trouble. DUIs, minor consumptions, just some light consequences. And those light consequences just never amounted to anything, like whatever. Sentencing day, and we go through the court process, everything. I know the numbers and what could happen. I could, get off, or I could get a 4-year mandatory or a 4-year sentence. And sentencing day, I'm sitting there with my attorney, and the judge reads off, I sentence you to 4 years in the South Dakota State Penitentiary, ran concurrent with the possession charge of 1 year. I'm thinking, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. I have no idea. I don't even know what a felony is. I don't know what it was. I looked over at my attorney and I said, does that mean work release?
Oh,
And
yeah.
he said, no, son.
No.
No, son.
Close.
Yeah.
Can I use my suspended
Yeah.
imp on this?
Right. And if I had that baby still in my back pocket,
right.
maybe, but the
Sentence,
family's
man.
sitting behind me, they don't know what jail, prison, they've never seen that in our family, and here I am, like,
And
no more gun rights. I'm an avid hunter. That was heartbreaking.
Sure.
So just learning all this stuff, like never heard about this in school or
No.
whatever. I'm learning this as
This is
the
real
process
world.
process is going through of
Yeah,
what this,
real world university.
you know.
Man, so you do a year, When you get out, like, on good behavior? Or
No, I do my full year, do my sentence.
You have to do 1 year.
Yeah,
And then,
got out on parole, did really good on parole. I was off parole within like 9-10 months. You could have gave me a lie detector test. I will never touch that substance again. Oh,
you're clean.
I am clean from here on out. Not drinking. Drinking's totally different. Like drinking.
Of course, yeah. Drinking wasn't your problem.
Yeah, drinking's not the problem. We have fun. I have fun drinking, but
meth.
never again. Man, I did prison time for this substance. I lost a year of my life for this substance. I went to the deepest, darkest place in my life because of this substance.
Yeah.
Why? Never again.
And so they're like, all right, Kip, you're good. We trust you.
Yep.
So now, then you're off parole. How long off parole until?
About 9 months. I just went out shooting guns with my buddy, which wasn't supposed to do at the time. But we found a spot. He pulls a bindle out of his visor and
Pulls a what?
a bindle.
What's a bindle?
It's a bindle. It's a little paper triangle thing that if you didn't have a baggie, you'd put it in a bindle.
Okay.
And so he pulled out his bindle and his pin and said, "You want to hit?" Hell yeah, man. Not one thought about prison, not one thought about what my life looked like 2 years ago.
And then there it is. After that, is it just off to the races? You're pick up where you left off?
Deeper.
Deeper.
Deeper. Yeah.
How do you get deeper?
Just more quantity. Instead of the local dealer, I'm finding the out-of-state dealer. Now he's bringing me stuff, bigger quantities, which doesn't take long for Rapid City Police Department to pick up on that. Probably less than a year. Here I am again, hemmed up on a count 2 distribution, count 2 possession, which carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years.
15 years period.
15 years, yeah, state law. You get caught distributing twice, it's a 15-year mandatory minimum. And they had me dead to rights. Biggest blessing in my life was that night when they pulled me over and caught me. Today, I look back at it, thank God they pulled me over, thank God they searched my car, thank God I got arrested, and thank God I changed my life after this. But at that moment, they did some tricky stuff to search my car, which every attorney said, you could fight this.
You could potentially get it dismissed.
You probably could, but man, the money that was going to take, my mom and my parents were going to get on board with that. They said, no, you messed up. No one's going to give you the money for it.
Even though you were looking at 15 years, They were like, you deserve it.
100%. 100%.
Was it just like a traffic violation, or how'd they pick you up?
I had my headlights off at dusk, like that in-between time. Pulled into a private parking lot at a casino, provided them with my registration. I didn't have my insurance card, but I had insurance. And so they said, can we search your car? No. They took the drug dog around. Drug dog didn't hit. Asked me again if they could search the car. I said no. They said, well, okay, we're going to tow the car because you don't have no proof of insurance. And you can go pick it up at a later time. Are you okay with that? And I said, sure. And instantly when I said sure, they went and started searching my car, saying that they're doing an inventory on it. Well, look at this.
Oh, yeah.
What is this? And
we were just taking inventory, found this meth.
And
now, had no idea.
My God. Yeah.
Do you think they were kind of tracking you? They kind of
they 100%. Yeah, they knew exactly what I was doing, where I was at, and they were waiting for that opportunity. 100%. Because instantly, the cop that pulled me over, there's 3 more squad cars and then 2 more DCI cars, on ready. Scene, ready for the
pickup.
The big thing. So I then a lot of resentment back then, a lot of hatred, but thank God for those guys that
night. Looking back, yeah. Okay, now you're picked up. Now you're looking at 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that feel like?
Didn't really know once again, now I'm just learning what a count 2 felony is. I'm sitting in jail. I have a bond set. So for 28 days, I'm calling my mom every single day, screaming and yelling, get me out of here. You're going to treat your son like this. It's a $1,000 cashback bond or whatever it's set at. Just come down and bond. I mean, just screaming and yelling and just bringing destruction and chaos to my mom's life for the next 28 days. And she won't budge.
She didn't bond you out?
She did not budge.
Good for her.
Yeah. And
that had to be hard, though.
Very hard. I have at my house, behind my door, in a sweatshirt, I have a reserve pouch of stuff and a syringe. And that's all I can think about. I'm sitting in jail. I know exactly where it's at. It'd take me 15 minutes to get home and get that in my system. Get me out of here. Man, yeah. I'm going to do something different, Mom. Just get me out. Pleading and begging and just asking. And sitting there just knowing that it's hanging on my door, I need to get out of here.
That relief is
just right there.
Yeah, but
I can't get out.
Like detoxing? Do you feel?
Oh yeah. Very malnutrition. Like I don't eat, so I'm starving. Jail doesn't provide you enough food at that stage of my life where I need to be, and so just starving and hungry, and I can't stay awake, and just coming down hard, very hard.
So you're in jail. You get a court date.
Yeah. Putting it in front of the grand jury, and the grand jury will say, yes, that's enough to convict him of these charges. It's just going through the court process.
Do you have to stay in jail until they sentence you?
At some point, they probably would have released me, but day 29, I was sitting in my jail cell, and I had a window of opportunity, a sense of peace and ease that I don't know what it was, but there's something that's just saying, like, Kip, you got to stop. You got to stop being this way. You need to do something different. And so I walked out, I picked up the phone, I called my mom and said, hey, Mom, I love you. I appreciate all that you do. You don't deserve to have a son like this. You don't deserve to be yelled at. I'm exactly where I need to be at. Next day I call my mom and I say, hey, Mom, I need you to do something for me. She said, I'll do anything. And I said, I need you to go to my house, and behind my door, there's a sweatshirt. I need you to take that sweatshirt and do something with it. And she went to the house and took the sweatshirt off and did whatever she did with that. So now that's gone, and that's out of my mind. And the next day I called my mom and just asked her how she's doing and what's going on, and I'm fine. I don't know what's going on. I haven't heard much about it. And I think day 31, she finally came down with the bond. And we're discussing over the phone as we're talking what needs to change. And we're talking about sober houses. You can come live with us until we get you into a sober house in Sioux Falls.
Probably initially she's like, he's manipulating me. But then over time you're more consistent. She can probably hear the sincerity. That kind of, we call it the gift of desperation.
Yeah, it hit. In that desperation, I had a window of opportunity to do something different. And I think we all, through addiction, we get these windows. And we get these choices that we can finally see the ugliness of ourselves. We can finally see what's the problem. It's me. Nobody else is doing this to me. I'm doing it to myself. And so when I'm sitting in that jail cell, I got this sensation that, like, it's me. I got to do something about myself.
Because this whole time, the consistent theme is like your boy's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Why is she doing this to me?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are the cops doing this to me? I'm the victim. Now you're sitting there and all of a sudden you realize that there's a consistent theme here.
Yep.
It's me. And if I don't change, nothing's going to change.
Yep.
Being sincere with your mom, you're talking to her over the course of a few days. You guys set some boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to bond you out, but these are the expectations. Yep. So you get out and you go.
It was kind of weird. We're driving, and so my mom says, I have an electrician working at our house. And he said that he just started a sober house. It's right next to the jail. I don't think it's open yet. I don't know what it's about, but he started this thing. I don't know what you could say besides godly or a miracle.
Absolutely.
And so relays that to my mom, and my mom relays that to me. And so we're driving by, and I said, just pull over. Let me go knock on the door. And so I went and knocked on the door, and the manager of the house at the time answered, and I said, hey, is this open? They're like, we don't have any bodies in here. We got one body coming in tomorrow. We're just starting. Give this guy a call. And so I give this guy a call, and he told me to come down to this spot. It's outside this attorney's office. And I pull up there, and my first thing is, this is going to be some rich white guy that's running a sober house, making money off of us.
Exactly.
Just started formulating like, oh yeah, I can see where this is going. You know, this
because you're the one to judge.
Oh, I'm judging everybody on everything, and so I'm sitting in front of this sign that says blah blah attorney at law, and I started a sober house and I'm gonna save the world, and I'm just like, this is ludicrous. I was thinking it's more of a halfway house. And so it's no structure, whatever.
In and out.
Yeah.
As you please.
Yeah. But I walk up those steps and I go to the receptionist and I say, I need to meet this guy. And here comes the dude. I love this guy to death.
What was he like?
He comes around the corner in board shorts, flip-flops, kicked off trucker hat off to the side.
Not what you expected.
Not what I'm expecting. So we go sit in a conference room and we just start talking. We start relating. And I'm telling him my story, and things are just lining up. And it's not about how much he used or what he used. It's about how he felt. He started talking about when I do this and how I feel in the world. And he started talking recovery. I was engaged to this dude. So I leave there, and he's like, hey, I'm going to give you a number to a guy. He might call you, he might not. I don't know. So I leave that office, and the electrician guy, calls me and he said, "Hey, heard you just met with my partner. Hey, me and my girl are going to go camping, but you should just come up and hang out for a little bit." Heck yeah. So I go home, get all my camping stuff, tell my mom what's going on. She's a little suspicious, but I go meet this guy camping, just him and his girlfriend. And we sit there around the campfire for the next 6-7 hours just talking recovery, talking about a solution. And I'm engaged in it. I'm engaged, like, this is some crazy stuff what you're talking about. This isn't what I've been hearing my whole life. I've heard about triggers and I've heard about avoiding and, these things through other means of recovery. But he's talking about a soul sickness, a spiritual malady.
And that's incredible because this is an electrician.
Yep.
Not a doctor, not a psychologist, not a judge,
Nope.
a police officer, but just another addict or alcoholic. And he was talking in a language that you understood.
It wasn't really a language I understood. It was a new language. It was a new way of thinking. It was a new way of an action plan. Did something and how I felt when I didn't do something. Talking about a spiritual awakening. These are just new things to me at that time. I had no idea what they were talking about. It was engaging. It was more engaging because he was at a place at some point in his life where I was. So I'm hearing a different solution, but I have no idea what that even means for myself, what it means if I continue on that path. Like, I have no idea, but I'm engaged by the people around it. And that these people at one point were exactly where I was at. And that gave me hope. It gave me hope in how they talked. Once I made that first connection with a guy in a solution-based program, just more people were calling. My number was getting passed around. People were calling me. It was just a good feeling. It was a warm feeling that I just haven't had for a long time.
You're kind of inspired or hopeful. And how close are you getting to being sentenced?
So at that time, I got accepted in the house. I checked myself in, and I can check out anytime I want. Anytime it gets a little too hard or I get treated wrong, man, I can pack up and leave and there's no consequences. But man, it just felt safe. I'm getting close. The months are piling up, so the court case is getting closer. There's no plea deals on the table. Usually in a situation like that, they don't have such a strong case, so they want to plead out or drop some charges, but not this one. They were full bore. My attorney was trying different things and they were pretty stuck on it. So that's where my mindset is. But man, I'm engaged in something. And I just started getting more engaged in this. I got a sponsor. I just followed his footsteps. I got engaged in service work. I got engaged in fellowship. I got engaged in other people's sobriety. Just like how I started for me, one guy talking to another guy about the problem. I just got engaged.
And you were truly engaged. You
Truly.
were just playing a role to appease the judge or your mom.
There was a mindset of that. There was 100% a mindset of that because I'm still in that mindset. Like, I got to get in front of this thing.
What's in it for me? How can I use this?
And this looks like a good tool to get in front of it and look. And that's just my mindset is I can make something look good. And 100% that was my mindset. Make this thing look as shiny as it can. So when I get up on the court or the stand, I have something to hold in front of them. With all still in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, I'm dealing with something like that, but the drink, like, I'm still drinking. Like, once this is done, like, drinking's still a part of my life. Like,
yeah, you haven't conceded that.
No, and I never conceded that drinking was an issue. It was the other substances. It was the other things that I was doing, the mething, that stuff. That's a problem.
And so at that point, you weren't, I'm an alcoholic.
No.
I'm an addict. You know in your heart, though, you are.
Yeah,
you have an issue.
and I think these guys could teach me how to drink like a gentleman. We get healed, we learn something, and now we can go out and be a productive member of society while drinking.
Right.
That's just the mindset I had.
In truth, that's just not how it works.
No.
What's it like leading up to that sentencing?
Anxiety-ridden. I know what prison is. I know what 1 year looks like. I'm thinking about what 15 years look like, and the night before sentencing day, I checked myself into the hospital because I felt like I was dying. My stomach felt like it was going to blow up. I had just a massive amounts of pain in like my side and my stomach. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sit. And so I left the sober house. I just left, got in my car, drove to the hospital.
I can't imagine. You get out of prison, you're almost 50.
Yeah.
And so the night before you go to the hospital, they just tell you you're fine.
Yeah, they finally sent me home. I slept sitting up on the couch because that's the only position I could really feel good on. And woke up the next day. I shaved, put on a nice suit.
Yeah, no handlebar mustache, I hope.
No, it was, at that point I did have the handlebar mustache, and so I shaved that off. The guys sat around the table, we talked, we prayed. That moment, there's something happening in this house and in this program that I'm in. There's something happening, but now I have to go pay the piper. But at this point, me and my sponsor have talked a lot about this, and he said, this isn't the end. This isn't the end of your recovery. Prison, no prison, you have a purpose. And what we have learned so far and what we will continue to learn wherever you're sitting, you can bring this to other people in jail. You can bring this into prison. Go in with a mentality that I have something to bring in the next 15 years, hopefully that you have something to offer. And that just seemed a little childish or a little pep talk. Now I firmly believe that. Now the growth was happening, the understanding was happening. I had something to offer.
Yeah, you're
in jail, in prison, out of jail, whatever. I had at least a little piece of what this thing had to offer.
Exactly.
You know, my attorney just did an amazing job. But what I had on my side, let's talk about what I had on my side. I had 6 months of sobriety. I was in a sober house. I was making waves in a sober house. I think I had maybe 15 to 20 people in the program sitting behind me. All the pews behind me were full of people that I've engaged in the program, that I've talked to, that I've sat down on the weekends, that I've met on certain days, and we just talked recovery. So it's just the people I've met along the journey of sobriety.
Yes. Is the attorney that's representing you, this isn't the same attorney that in the sober house?
No.
And it's not the same attorney as a DUI?
No.
How'd you get this? This is a public defense?
I paid for this one. On recommendations from the attorney that started the sober house, recommended this attorney, and so I got him. Just a badass dude, man.
Yeah,
just
so a good attorney, dude. Though.
Very good attorney. I paid good money for him, and so what else? I had a good attorney this time. I had a lot of good letters of recommendation from people. I had my final words was not fighting. I threw my hand up. I admitted my wrongs. I didn't point the finger. I just told them who I was, where I was, and what I'm doing. Simple. It was very simple. My first one, when I went to, it was like a 5-minute autobiography of who I am and why I shouldn't go to prison. This time I just threw my hand up. I said everything that's true in fact. I've been living this way for way too long. Consequences just haven't seemed to change anything. Where I'm at today is I'm a part of something that's bigger than me. This is where I put myself.
Right.
I stand in front of you today as the person that put himself here, and I'm ready to endure whatever comes down the pipeline. My attorney was really, really good through the process. Anything the prosecutor said, he had a counter. The prosecutor was a little lacking on some of the points. One of the points was, he didn't get better until he got caught. And my attorney was like, of course, he was in addiction. He was crazy. Of course, no one just sobers up on a whim.
Yeah.
And so the attorney that started the sober house probably had some influence on the letter he wrote. He started the sober house. I was a part of the sober house. And so he wrote a decent letter. The judge at the time, really prominent judge, he was 2 months from exiting the bench.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Those letters of recommendation or character letters, whatever they're called, did your mom write one?
My stepdad did.
Okay.
Yeah, my stepdad, my pastor at the time wrote one.
I would imagine, you put your mom through, if she was like, I'm going to let him go through this, or what would go through her mind?
Once I got in the sober house, she just went and started living her life.
Good for her, yeah.
And great. She knew I was safe. She knew I was there. So they would snowbird to Florida every year, and this is right in the winter time, and so they were in Florida. Every other time they've been in the courtroom, they've been sitting there through it, and my mom just devastated every time, and she just couldn't do it again.
You can respect that.
Oh,
and actually,
100%.
That's what would be encouraged.
And I did. I talked to her. I said, Mom, do not fly back for this. Stay down there. We'll keep you posted. The people in the program will call you. Whatever it is, enjoy your life.
When you're dealing with somebody that's an alcoholic or addict, you just got to live your life. And to have your mom say, I'm just going to throw my hands up, whatever happens to him, happens to him.
Yep.
Her life isn't your life. And that had to be hard. But I think, eventually she got to that point where I think if I were to say anything to anybody who's dealing with somebody that's in active addiction or alcoholism, and is live your life. So you got these letters and this great attorney, and you don't even make your plea. You just submit to the system, and you say whatever happens, happens. This judge is close to retiring. He's 2 months away from retiring, and he looks at you, and what's his response to all that?
He analyzed, he sat there, and he goes, I've been sitting on the bench for 42 years, and I've never waived the mandatory minimum except twice, and this will be the third time. And so he wiped the mandatory minimum. I still got sentenced to 15 years with 15 years suspended, bunch of probation time.
Wow, dude. What did that feel like?
A breath of fresh air. I didn't really fully understand the full verdict. You know, we had to go out in the hallway and talk about it, but my sponsor at the time said that the other attorney that started the Sober House was there. My sponsor's just getting to know me. We've been working together for 4 months. All I am is just another alcoholic that's coming through the program that he's going to spend a little bit of time with. Whatever's going to happen, and I'm just gone, because that's what happens all the time. He's been doing this for 15 years. I'm just another guy that's coming in and going out. So the judge says I've never waived the mandatory minimum except for twice, and this will be the third time. And so my attorney friend looked at my sponsor and said, justice was served. And my sponsor said, the fuck it was.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, he just got let off. Like, there's no consequences.
Yeah,
set him up for failure. Here he is.
Wow.
This guy's drunk in 2 weeks.
That's the difference between a sponsor and an attorney.
Right.
And
it's just the sponsor-sponsee relationship is that they want the best, and you have to walk through your trials and tribulations. He knows my story. He knows everything about me by this time. So he's just saying, there goes Skip again.
Yeah.
Making headway.
Managing, right? Just like this.
Managing, yeah.
You're managing.
And so he was a little pissed off. Like,
Okay,
you don't see him in 2 weeks. And justified.
Again.
And now where I sit in my seat, where I'm at in recovery, and the people I work with, 100%,
that would be your first
That would be my first thing. And I always tell my guys, you got to walk through it. The miracle that I got to relay that to you is just stop fighting and throw your hand up. I had to do that, and it worked out for me. Now, is it going to work out for you? I don't know. But, man, just the relief of just throwing your hand up. I don't want to say I'm a unique thing, but it's just what happened. I don't know if it was perfect timing, if it was God, but a lot of things in this process lined up. The electrician at my mom's house, the sober house just opening up, meeting these people along the line. Like, I was in recovery. I was doing it. I didn't have the solution yet, but I'm engaged in what was going on. So my sponsor was just saying, you just got the top layer of this thing. We're not even invested in it.
That's right. He's barely working the program, because in this same period of time, you're thinking in your mind, I'm going to drink again.
Right. And my sponsor at the time, he's been in this thing for 15 years. And we just don't have that many successes. That's just the fact of what we're in. Like, the amount of time and energy we have to devote to this thing, a lot of people just won't do. And he's been doing it for 15 years, and he doesn't have that much success. Not saying he's bad at it. It's just
it's hard.
It's hard. It's hard. You don't come across a lot of people that, and so I'm just the other guy.
Exactly. The odds are against you.
Yeah.
Especially given your drug of choice.
100%.
Yeah, you're not just an alcoholic. You're an addict too. And so they waived the mandatory minimum, and you're in the hallway finally figuring out what all that means. Mm-hmm. And then you walk out the doors. Is there a desire to use or drink at all?
No, I go home and sleep for the next 25 hours.
You just sleep.
Yeah. And that's my MO. Like, that's what I do. I remember when I got out of prison after that year, I went and slept for like 32 hours. I don't know. There's just something overwhelming and strenuous. Like, the day I get out of prison, I should be excited and go and enjoy my life. But for me, it's like an escape or this weird thing. Like, I just got to tap out.
That is a common theme, I think. When I was early in recovery, too, all I wanted to do was sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I can't handle the thought.
It was a coping mechanism for escaping my reality.
A lot of us think we suffer from bipolar, that we suffer from anxiety, depression. But a lot of us, once we get healed and we find like we're not depressed people. It's just a coping mechanism that I just want to go and isolate and be by myself in my thoughts, which is depressing. It was very depressing.
And that was 100% me, man.
Yeah.
I was in and out of psychologists and therapists, and you're bipolar, Seth, you have depression, you have anxiety, and I learned to reframe that. I'm so much better now because of being able to see things for how they are, and not expecting a drug or a drink to fix it. And that's what I was doing for a long time. So you sleep, and now you're in the real world, and you're going back to the program.
So this whole time I'm in this sober house, I'm still portraying the same character defects as I've did my whole time. I'm demanding, I'm lazy, I'm slothy,
undisciplined,
100% undisciplined.
Yeah,
there's a manager there, and this guy saved my life. This guy was the real deal. He was the manager of the sober house. An apple's an apple. Like, there's rules, and we're sticking by the rules. And he wouldn't cut me an ounce of slack. And I'm the one that just, hey man, we're buddies. Just back off a little bit. And one of the biggest things was I'd run in the house and kick my sandals off, and the sandals would fall maybe a foot past the threshold of the door where we store shoes at. And he'd write me a book report. And a book report, you have to read a chapter out of a book and write a report on it, how it relates to you. And so I'd get these book reports over and over again, and I was just constantly getting these things. If you see my binder at this house, I probably have like a 5-inch thick binder of book reports.
Because you can't respect boundaries.
No,
you can't respect rules.
Yeah, and my mindset is just, let's all be friends. You wash my glass, I'll wash your glass. Push my shoes in the threshold, I'll push your shoes in the threshold. But they didn't allow me to do that. I was constantly on the phone with the two founders, calling them over, telling them, we got to fire this manager. You need to put me in the manager position. I'll run this house way better than he could. And all these guys would say is, I hear you, man, but just lean in. I just told you the problem, and you're giving me the solution of lean in? Are you guys crazy? Like, this thing's going to fall apart. This house is never going to work if you don't put me as manager. We're going to have a harmonious, we're just free-for-all in this house. And they just said, we hear you. We love you, man. We're excited that you're here, but just lean in. Ugh, shut up. Lean in. What does that even mean? Yeah. Try to look at things that I can do better.
And why is that? Why is that so important?
Because I was at a point of desperation. That the house is working, the program's working, and it changed my thought process on things. And it didn't happen it was 6 months into this thing.
6 months of sobriety?
6 months of being in the sober house, working with a sponsor, working a program, and really learning about myself. And we got to a part in the program that I just, all of a sudden I had this enlightening that I'm the problem. I'm the problem. Like, now I'm seeing my true self in this process that we're going through.
You can't see a new perspective.
100%, and I had to do that inventory, and then I found out my role in those things, and that was hard to look at. And so I'm finding these things are really pulling out that I'm the problem and I'm the chaos in all this stuff. It was about feeling like an alien on this planet. I was dropped off by aliens without the user manual of life and to be a human, and they just left me. And that's where my recovery just completely changed. I stopped fighting. I turned the canoe around and I started just going with the current. I stopped fighting the stream. I'd let things go. I started putting my shoes where they needed to be. I do my chore plus clean the bathroom, which wasn't my chore, but I go clean the bathroom. I give back to the house.
When you don't have to.
And guess what happened? I didn't get book reports.
And the rules weren't going to change.
The rules weren't going to change.
Whether you liked them or not.
All the problems in the house, what I thought were problems, all those went away.
That's right.
I'm a part of it.
And that's really such a simple.
Isn't
that crazy? Other people would be like, just follow the rules. But instead, we have to just find ways to push the boundaries.
I'm following every rule except for this little thing.
Yeah, that's
this
really
little
good,
cup of water. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen if I leave the cup of water on the table? Or I don't put my shoes in the right place? Or I half-assed do my chore? I went down and I did the actions of cleaning the bathroom. I moved my hands, I sprayed a little stuff around, and then I walked out of the bathroom. And don't you tell me I didn't clean the bathroom, because I was in that bathroom with chemicals and a scrub brush.
That's
and
right.
you're going to tell me I didn't clean the bathroom?
Yeah.
No. Well, now I'm on my knees.
Yeah.
I'm cleaning the bathroom from the floor up. And guess what? Life got easier. So I'm about 6 months into this thing, and I start kind of changing. And this is at a time that we had a family reunion. And I go to this family reunion. I can't drink. I'm in the sober house. I'm still not thinking about not drinking. It's formulating this concept of never drinking again. But what about when my kids graduate? Like, how do I golf without drinking? Those things are still in the back of my head. I've gotten in some trouble with drinking, but I think I can control it. There's still like a mindset I can control this thing. But I'm at a family reunion and my mom looks at me and she goes, so when can you drink again? I thought, are you serious? Why would you even think that? Now I look back on it and I think it could have been a question of, where are you at, Kip? Are you planning on drinking or not? And I sat there and I looked at her and I said, Mom, I don't think I ever can.
Wow.
And I just got goosebumps just sitting here, because that was the dawn of understanding the disease of alcoholism, the isms. I suffer from the isms. I drink alcoholically, I use alcoholically, but it's the isms, the way I feel, the emotions, the mental pull to drink. The mental obsession.
Yeah, it doesn't go away.
Booze won every time.
Powerless. Yeah.
Booze was way more powerful. So after work, I had my 2 drinks, and I decided I'm going to stay down and have a couple more. I felt like I had the choice. But the choice was gone. I was staying drinking. I wanted to rationalize, I have the power. I'm staying down here to drink. It's like, man, I am powerless over this thing. Completely powerless. And then that question from my mom and my response is what's been a totally different in my whole life. I don't think I ever can. I know I can't ever drink again, but if I don't keep the traction in what I'm involved in and what I'm doing, I most likely will drink again.
You can't just rest on your laurels.
No.
And expect this desire not to drink
No.
to stay away. You have to be leaning in on a daily basis, and that's what they were trying to instill in you at the sober house.
Yep. It's still every day I'm learning something new. I'm learning about different things. And I turned myself over to a power greater than myself at one point in this process. I'm going to have what we call a spiritual awakening. You know, I didn't have no burning bush experience, no bolt of lightning. I just haven't had that. It's the spiritual connection that I have is the little things, and it's when I'm exhausted, I'm completely exhausted, I'm tired. I don't want to work on my recovery. I don't want to talk to a new guy, but there's something that says, it's not about you, Kip. That's a connection. I'm connected. I'm connected to something more bigger than the alcohol, bigger than the addiction. And a lot of people look at me or my sponsor, or like people that are really engaged in this program, they're just cut out for it. They love this stuff. They live and breathe this stuff. It's not the truth. It's just that we do it. We show up and we do it, but every ounce of us just says, I don't want to do it. But when we do it, we get relief.
You just don't want to do it, but you never regret. You always regret not going. You never regret going.
Going, yep.
So what would you say to somebody right now who was feeling powerless and their life is unmanageable? What can you do?
I wish there was something I could say, but usually this thing doesn't come until, like we talked earlier about, when we're badly mangled. We have to take action, and the action is getting out of your seat, getting somewhere where alcoholics hang out, talk to another alcoholic, get outside of self.
Yeah, stop thinking about yourself,
Yeah. And somebody that's suffering from the alcoholic or the addict, just until they're ready, and go do something about it. There's not much we can do.
Yeah. So what would you say to your mom all those times? Just live your life, essentially.
Oh, so many times I told her, this is who I am, get off my porch,
Leave
me alone.
She pled.
Yeah, I'm not hurting anybody besides myself. Some of the biggest lies I've always told myself.
When you're being sentenced, she's in Florida. But I think that's powerful because it's so hard to see someone you love go through it, but you gotta let them. It's a journey they have to go on, and there's no person on earth that can save us except for ourselves. There's no help. There's just self-help in those places, and you just kind of have to let them.
Until we get open and honest with ourselves and we seek something different, we're being. And it took a lot. It took a lot to finally come around and put the new set of glasses on.
That's right. That's what it takes. Yeah, and nobody could show it to you. There's nothing anybody can do, and that's what makes it powerful, and that's what gives us ownership of it. That's the beauty of it, is it's ours, and nobody's given it to us. We got it ourselves, but through the help of others. But we had to come to that point. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to say about your sobriety life?
I just hope if there is somebody out there that comes across this, that hears it and relates to it, man, reach out. Get on that phone, find us. We will have numbers associated with this podcast. The ones that are suffering from it or the ones that are suffering because of it, man, call us. Let's talk about this. And I just want to put a shout out to you, Seth, man. It has been a breath of fresh air seeing you come through, grasping this thing. And that's what it takes. I mean, you were at the bitter end, and you had a lot of preconceived notions about things, and you have let the ability to put things aside and adopt something different in your life. You've helped me along my journey.
I would say I couldn't have done it without you. You were there a lot, man. You answered the phone a lot. There was lots of times I was in the parking lot talking to you for like an hour. And complaining. Yeah. Just complaining, man.
But
I could not figure it out. I went to a conference in North Dakota, and even then, I was like, I'm not figuring this out. It's not working. Yeah. And once it occurs to you, man, it's such a good feeling, that promise. And I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being available. Thank you for being honest and vulnerable and not fake. You are an incredible person, man. Thank you.
Right on, Seth. Nice talking with you.